And welcome into the Thursday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Hope everybody's off to a wonderful start of their day today here on this Thursday morning. We got a lot going on the show today. Big game for the Nashville Predators tonight. We're going to get into that here in just a few minutes. Preds assistant general manager Jeff Kelty will be with us at 7:30, so looking forward to that. We've got the Rob rant coming up at 7:45. Best and worst things in sports at 6:45. Hendon Hooker, quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. We'll get into that a little bit later in the program as well. Take your thoughts as always in the meantime. 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
Good. Finally feeling optimistic about the Tennessee Titans. It's been a while.
It's been a long time, but today that all changes. The optimism level is high. Everything's ready to go. Ian Safar, how are we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Doing just fine, thanks. Feels nice out there. Still spring-like. So, I don't know. Interesting weather, but it's nice. I'd like some rain. The flowers, and worried about, we need a little bit of a jump start here with the flowers. Too dry in March, but doing okay, thanks. Looking forward to tonight's hockey game if I can stay up.
9:30 tonight. So really like 9:37, 9:38. Gonna be a late one tonight. Late one tonight.
It's gonna be a struggle
for the Nashville Predators. No doubt about that. We'll take your thoughts on that. Joe, it is a huge game for the Preds tonight, and they did not get any help last night. LA wins in overtime last night against the Blues, and the Sharks beat the Ducks in regulation last night, which means, Joe, the Predators are not in a playoff spot today. LA has jumped them for that final playoff spot, and not only has LA jumped them, San Jose has jumped them as well. San Jose has tied them in points, but San Jose has one game in hand on the Predators. So LA in the second wild card spot, followed by San Jose, who at the moment has the tiebreaker over the Predators, and then the Predators also at 77 points, who are one up on Winnipeg, two up on Seattle. So this is a big game tonight for the Predators. They need to win it, and they really need to win it in regulation. They've got LA tonight. They've got San Jose coming up on Saturday. They're back at LA earlier next week, and I don't know exactly how many of those points you're going to end up needing at the end of the year, Joe, but my guess is, like, on the LA front, you might need to beat them twice here over the next, 6 days or whatever it is that they're playing here. So big game for the Predators tonight as they take on the Kings.
And that might be asking a bit much. I mean, gosh, the funny thing is, two teams that I've discounted. I mean, you have to. I mean, you mentioned Seattle. Winnipeg is sitting there too, just a point back in Seattle. St. Louis,
yep,
sitting there at 74. So it's a cluttered mess, and that's asking a lot to go out there, beat them, go up to Northern Cali, have success there too, and then come back down, beat them again. But you start, it's one game at a time, as they like to say.
It is, and this is a game that is a huge game that I would assume that they're starting UC Saros. This is a game they need to win. This is a game he needs to win. To me, this is a big game for him tonight. And, we've talked so much about the contract and the contract being what it is and the playoff series stuff. Like, he's never won a playoff series as a starting goalie. And, I don't know that that's going to change this year. Number one, you got to get in the playoffs. And number two, it's probably going to be Colorado. So the chances are not high that that's going to change this year. But, I mean, there needs to be a performance from him in some bigger games that stacks up to that. And look, LA, they won the game last night. LA is a very good defensive team. They're able to clamp it down. The final score was 2-1 last night in overtime. That is a game that they like to play because they're really not all that offensively gifted. They're 29th in the NHL in goals for per game. And I know that they went out to trade deadline and they picked up Artemi Panarin, and that's a big deal. But they're 29th in the league in goals for per game. this is a game where you need your goalie to play well. Like if LA comes out there tonight and scores 4 or 5, and I understand that you may just saying that and not seeing how the goals come down and whether or not there's any defensive breakdowns or all that stuff. But this is a game where you need your goalie to step up and win you a game. This is why you give him a contract. You need your goalie to step up and win you a couple of these games.
No doubt. Yeah. We said it before. Say it again. It's hard to imagine, the Preds actually getting this done if there isn't at least a couple really good performances by him where he basically wins the game, where he is the difference. And like you said, that this would be a prime possibility for that. So it is important. It's important. There's a big picture element to that too with him. That's important here down the stretch as you look forward with this franchise.
Yeah, and this is a time for him. He's playing well right now. Like I think the goaltending since the Olympic break has been pretty good. Like he's been good. Annanen's been good. And their offense has been inconsistent. I mean, at times it's been going okay, but I don't think they've really hit their highest offensive gear since the Olympic break. But I feel pretty good about the way that Saros has played for the most part. Now, in the Montreal game, Montreal, first off, just overwhelmed them. So there's that. I thought the first goal you let in was bad. Like, that's a save you need to make. And that just kind of sets the tone there at that point. It's been too often this year, and you can blame whoever you want to blame for it, but it is what it is. Like, it's been too often this year that the Predators have found themselves down 5 minutes into a game or 10 minutes into a game. And that just can't happen tonight. Like get in there, lock in, make some saves, and then hopefully your team brings their A game as well. That's not always going to happen, and I'm not putting it all on Saros tonight. But this is the sort of games, this is the sort of moments that you give him this contract for, and he needs to step up and rise to the occasion tonight. And again, like you're taking on a team that really is not that offensively gifted tonight. They've got some good players offensively, but for whatever reason, as a team, it's not come together offensively for the LA Kings this year. So this is a game tonight where I would be very disappointed if tomorrow morning, Joe, number one, you wake up, you're talking about a loss, but number two, you're talking about like some 5-3 loss to the LA Kings or something like that. That's, to me, it can't go that way tonight. It's time to step up and win a game.
We've talked a lot about starts a lot all year, but I distinctly remember a little over a week ago that being the discussion. They come out and just hammer San Jose right away. 5 goals in the first, win 6-3.
Yeah,
and they've lost 3 straight since then. So maybe I don't know. Maybe that messed them up in some way. But in all seriousness, they lost 3 straight since then. I'm in goal 2 of those 3. And to me, I look at it and I feel like Saros should get the next 3.
I think he will. I think he will.
This is where you ride him, and then you go on and in with the back-to-back, maybe against the Ducks after that second Kings game. You probably have to do it, but these 3 games are going to have a heck of a lot to say about really even like how important like the last couple are. I mean, you have to. What do you have to get of those 6 points to be playing still, be alive in the last day? You got to get. Well, I mean, certainly 4.
Certainly
right?
4.
You have
to get
4.
And you could really 5. Like you don't know how it's going to shake out at the back part of the schedule, right? Like you could go on a tear. You could win 4 in a row to close things. Who knows? But yeah,
sure.
Like I think you need 4 or 5 at minimum, because I mean it's head to head, right? And the bottom line is, you got to go on the road and play LA twice. San Jose's got a game in hand on you. I know you play them 2 more times, but they've got a game in hand on you. Like this is an opportunity where the math tells you it's not really likely at this point if you're going to make the playoffs. And there's a few reasons for that. It's, games in hand that some teams have. You're on the road for some of this. Like there's reasons for that. But Joe, you win 1 game tonight. Like you win a game tonight. That math changes pretty dramatically, right? I mean, that's what it is. So like if you're a player in the locker room, you can't really ask for much more than this, right? Like, regardless of how you got here, the season is what it is. It was a horrific start, but now you've got a chance to play directly against the teams that you were competing with for a playoff spot. And, you're right there with them. You can't ask for much more than that. You're going to earn it or not earn it on the ice at this point. From a scheduling standpoint, yeah, it sucks that, you're on a long road trip at this time of year, Joe. But, like, for this game specifically, you've gotten a little bit of rest here for the first time in, forever. I hadn't played since Sunday, and it's Thursday. Like, I almost don't even know what to do with myself, given the way that this season is gone. Like, you're playing every other day. So you've gotten a little bit of rest here. And LA played last night and went to overtime. They played last night, went to overtime. So, like, maybe something you could take advantage of here, a scheduling break for you, even though you're on the road, that really hasn't happened all that much so far this year.
Yeah. And there's only one more back-to-back, which is the one I just mentioned,
Yeah.
which is between the Kings and Ducks. So that's good too. You don't have games condensed too much, which again could mean if Saros can get on a heater, you could really play him a lot to try to get in. And of course, if they do really well here, maybe that game at Utah in 1 week from today could be meaningful. But right now, 5 points behind.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. It's a huge game tonight for the Predators on the road against the LA Kings. That's where we start today. What do you think of this game, this opportunity for the Predators? How much is on UC Saros tonight? Assuming that he gets to start, and I think he will. We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Large game incoming for the Nashville Predators tonight, taking on the LA Kings. A 9:30 puck drop. So get you a nap today. Going to be a big one tonight for the Nashville Predators as they're out west. Taking your thoughts on that. Joe, here's another thing on this game tonight and the situation that they're in. You know, we've heard from Barry Trotz. We've heard from Andrew Brunette. You know, one of the justifications, I guess, for keeping this team largely together, right? And I mean, you know, the core of the team, and that's O'Reilly and Stamkos and, you know, all these guys that we've talked about through the trade deadline. Well, one of the things we've heard a lot about as the reasoning for that was, well, we got to, you know, we're going to help show the young guys what it takes to win and how to win, right? And obviously, I mean, nobody's going to deny that Steven Stamkos and Ryan O'Reilly and, you know, Yossi and all these guys who have been around for a long time that have had very successful careers and have played, you know, to varying degrees on very successful teams in the NHL, like they know what it takes. But shouldn't that kind of pay off in big moments like this, right? Like if you know what it takes and you've done a lot of winning, and shouldn't you then go win tonight, right? Like, you know, I understand LA has Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar and a lot of guys in their own right who have played in meaningful hockey games and have won big games. But, you know, this is a moment where you've got a veteran team that has, you know, played well since basically, you know, mid-November, right? Like they started to turn things around. And you're in a situation where you're head-to-head with some of these teams that you're battling it out for in a playoff spot. And we hear so much about, you know, how it takes, you know, what it takes to win and how to win and learning how to win. Well, go show them how to win, right? Like it's on the veteran players right now. They left you together. Like I would be very disappointed if they don't respond and come through in these type of moments.
Yeah, totally fair. 100%. Like you said, the other team has guys like that too. Sometimes you're just not as good, but absolutely. And again, like as we say that, I would not have, like, even though they're now out of a spot, they're close enough that I still like the overall performance, like since the deadline, you know, I would say is still like beyond my expectations anyway. You know, I would have guessed that by April, we're just talking about the off season and we're just talking about, you know, all the new GM and, you know, different personnel moves and stuff like that. So there is that, but also there is, then you get into the spot they were in with this streak and you lose 3 in a row. So this has got to be the stopper tonight. And absolutely, this is when those guys, when all that stuff is supposed to pay off.
And the other thing is, like, you look at their schedule. I mean, they just played 3 Eastern Conference teams. And look, I mean, there's no doubt. Go look at the schedule. Go look at the standings. Like the Eastern Conference is just way better than the Western Conference this year. I mean,
yeah,
you know, the Ottawa Senators are at 86 points in the East, and they're not in a playoff spot right now, whereas the Kings are at 78, and they're in that final spot, right? Like, you know, the Ottawa Senators would be knocking on the door of leading the Pacific Division, and they're not going to be in the playoffs if the season ended today. So, you know, you just played New Jersey. You just played Montreal, who's really good, Tampa Bay, who's really good. Well, the fact of the matter is the rest of the way here, for the most part, you're playing LA, San Jose, Anaheim, Utah, which are all kind of just right there with you, right? Which is okay. They're okay teams. Like none of those teams are great. You got Minnesota. That's the one team you play, you know, left on your schedule that's a really, really good team. Other than that, you know, I know Anaheim's leading the Pacific Division. You know, Connor McDavid described it pretty well, I thought, a couple weeks ago. The Pacific Division is just gigantic pillow fight. It's what it feels like right now. So the other part of this is even though you're about to embark, Joe, on a 5-game road trip, none of these teams are all that good. Like they're all kind of right. It's not like you're playing juggernauts out there. Like they're all right there with you. So the opportunity is there to get some points in those games and to put yourself right there. Like from a strength of schedule standpoint, it's not like you're having to deal with Colorado twice or Dallas or, you know, Minnesota 4 times down the stretch here. You're playing teams that are kind of right there on that bubble with you. So the strength of schedule thing could work out in your favor, but you have to take advantage of it.
Right. And so it's teams you can beat. And it's also, of course, games that mean more than just a game too, because of the nature of the standing. So it's a pretty good deal, really.
Yep.
You get that one with John Hines and the boys coming in a week from Saturday. But yeah, it's a great opportunity. So and it just feels like, like you kind of said at the top, like the whole tone gets set tonight because you can overreact to one game, but at this point, like it's at this point when you get this deep and you got 8 games left, and then it suddenly you can overreact to one game, and it's like, to me, it's like the outcome of tonight really we might look back and say that determined the course, however it turns out. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's the case.
Well, the bottom line is the playoffs for them basically start tonight, right? Like that's basically what it is. And you could make the argument, and I'm sure some players in that locker room probably would make the argument that it started a while ago for them. But really, I mean, you're at game 75 coming up tonight. The standings are about as tight as it gets with these teams that we've talked about. The playoffs start now. I mean, you're going head to head with them. The standings are what they are. So if there's going to be number one, a playoff berth, you're going to have to, in this 5-game road trip, I mean, you're going to have to win probably at least 3 of them and then come away with points in another one at that point, and then set yourself up for a 3-game homestand at the end of the year. But the playoffs start right now. You got 8 games left in the regular season. 7 games left in the regular season. Well, it's basically like a 7-game series right now, Joe. You got to find your way to definitely 4 wins. You're probably going to have to find your way to 5 wins down the stretch here if you want to, give yourself a good shot to get in here. So for all intents and purposes, like this is the beginning of the playoffs for the Nashville Predators tonight.
It is 8, right? 8 games.
I did some quick counting there. Yeah, it is 8. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good way to look at it.
I was told there'd be no 8.
Alex says, all with a crying, laughing emoji, all this for the right to get destroyed by Colorado in the first round. Yeah, well, probably.
Likely.
I mean, Utah could fall apart still. You do get one shot at them. You're 5 back. You get the shot. So there's, so can you make up 3 points? Like, yeah, I mean, only if you're obviously just really go nuts from here, right? But that is the hope. That's the goal. And again, even if it is just that second wild card and that's what you're looking at, I mean, if you're a Preds fan, would you rather see if your team can take a shot at them? Again, we've talked about the value of like the young guys in the playoffs. Maybe it's a little overrated. I don't think there's nothing to it though.
Yep.
I mean, get a taste of that. I mean, it's you'd rather do it than not.
There's also a big game night between the Mammoth and the Kraken. So like if you're a Preds fan, who you rooting for in that one? Because on the one hand, if the Kraken win, I mean, if you win tonight, you're one step closer to Utah. On the other hand, if you lose tonight and the Kraken win, they're going to jump you. So like that one's an interesting one to me.
Yeah, Kraken all the way, in my opinion. Like the hope is to win and not back your way in. I mean, they're going to have to win a lot to even get in, I think. But to me, the idea is to win and get the best possible situation. So there's 2. There you go, right there. You can get within 3 points of them if those 2 results go your way, and you have a game with them. I think that's easy.
The only thing that really sucks about all this is, it's a West Coast trip. So, I mean, like the 9:30 start tonight is tough. Saturday nights are one thing, but you're talking 9:30 tonight, 9:30 on Monday, 9 o'clock on Tuesday. That's what you're looking at. So a lot of late starts coming up.
Yeah, you get a nice 8, nice break with an 8 against Utah. But it's not great. And it's obviously you're asking, for people to stay up. So it's the people who are really, really into this team who are going to do it.
No doubt. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will get back into the Preds throughout the show. Jeff Kelty, Preds assistant GM, with us at 7:30. We're going to get into a philosophical Preds question, which is I'm randomly throwing out there at 8 o'clock. Get more of your thoughts on that as well. But coming up next, a move that Joe Rexrode has been clamoring for, some would argue since the dawn of time, but certainly for the last few years, has finally happened. We will get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Swing by John Daly's, located at 1907 Division Street in Nashville, this Saturday for a basketball watch party you don't want to miss. Brought to you by Good Boy Vodka. Enjoy a $25 Good Boy Bucket specials, and 102.5 The Game going to be on site from 5 to 7 as well with prizes and more. Don't miss it, only at John Daly's. We'll have the best and worst things in sports coming up here in about 15 minutes. But I know one of Joe's best things. Hendon Hooker, now a quarterback with the Tennessee Titans. Add him to the list. Hendon Hooker signing yesterday. Joe, I will admit, and somebody, our buddy Josh from Cookville pointed this out on the text line. Yesterday, not a great day on the calendar for this type of stuff. I saw the news and thought, oh, man, somebody has been duped by some April Fool's joke. And now Vol Twitter is going to go nuts about Hendon Hooker signing with the Titans when he didn't actually do it. But nope, turns out it's real. Jeremy Fowler, a real person, put it out there that Hendon Hooker signing with the Tennessee Titans. So now the quarterback room consists of Cam Ward, Mitch Trubisky, Will Levis, and Hendon Hooker, baby. He's here. Joe, you've been clamoring for it for years. How does it feel to have Hendon Hooker in the mix with the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, no, I exactly same as you. And then someone, so of course Garcia immediately takes a shot. He thought they should take him at number 11. So then there's all these comments on it, of course, because he's a jackass. But somebody then someone was like, "Oh, that's a great April Fool's joke," and I'm like, "Oh God, is it?" Because I thought I checked and it was real, and I actually went back and I'm like, "No, like these aren't." Because there was another thing, as you know, that I got duped by yesterday.
That did happen.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to bring that one up.
Well, I may as well. I mean, a fake John Rothstein. It's it's a very good one. It's like, he's got the same little photo, and it's like John Rothstein with a 0 instead of an O. I mean, it's a pretty, he had the Tyler Tanner is going to go in the portal, and I'm like, here, the topic for tomorrow. Boy, this is tough for Vanderbilt, man. So yeah. So, but this was real and very exciting for the Titans. Finally, they have figured it out. They finally, the Will Levis, Hendon Hooker debate of 4 years ago now. We can finally, well, I don't know, maybe we'll have just an amazing competition between them, huh?
Yeah.
How about that? How about some Hendon Hooker against Will Levis in the preseason? I don't think that's going to happen. I think we can now officially say that Will Levis will be gone for a very light pick at some point here pretty soon. But isn't it exciting to think about?
Well, it's exciting to think about. I heard some Tennessee fans and Kentucky fans kind of bickering back and forth at each other on Jake's show yesterday with him and Corey Curtis when this news broke. So that was pretty entertaining. It is an inordinate amount of time that people spent bickering over each other against two guys that are probably not going to be on the roster by the time September rolls around. So there is that takes place here. Look, obviously Hendon Hooker, he was drafted in the 3rd round in 2023. I thought, maybe, they move on from Goff at some point and Hooker ends up being the quarterback in Detroit. Well, a couple of things have happened since then. Number one, Jared Goff has played really well in Detroit. And number two, it has been pretty clear with Detroit moving on from him signing in Carolina on their practice squad, and then pretty shortly after that, the Panthers are moving on from him. It's not gone well for Hendon Hooker in the NFL to this point. And from an accuracy standpoint, I thought he was pretty accurate in college, but for whatever reason, he's just not been able to stick on an NFL team. So, look, I don't, in all seriousness, have high hopes that Hendon Hooker is going to come to Tennessee and he's just going to figure it out and he's going to be like their long-term backup or whatever behind Cam Ward. Like, this is probably going to result in Hendon Hooker maybe playing some snaps for the Titans in the preseason and then getting cut after that is my guess as to how this is going to go. But I am excited to see that he's getting another shot in the NFL because, quite frankly, Joe, after he got released by Carolina, I didn't know whether or not that was going to happen.
Yeah, we have fun with it, but the reality is he's fighting to stay in the league. And I think right now you're probably right. I mean, that's probably the outcome. Of course, you bring him here and you're going to have a certain element of, obviously a ton of Vols fans. You're going to have a certain element of excitement. And, look, anybody who closely followed Hendon Hooker, and, of course, you got to root for the kid. I mean, he's a great guy, he was a great leader. I mean, he's an all-time great at Tennessee.
Yep.
And I was absolutely dead wrong on him. And I have I don't know what it is. I mean, look, I do think that, and you look back on everything, I think that offense made him look better. It made his
Yes.
I mean, look, he wasn't a huge recruit. He couldn't get on the field at Virginia Tech. He actually comes in with Pruitt is when he, is looking for a place to get a shot. And that offense, he made those throws. He did those things. I mean, he's tremendous to me, a elusive runner. He's a winner. He's a leader, all that stuff. But the offense enhanced what his skill set is, which is a credit to the offense. Also, this is part of the problem with guys coming out of that offense in the NFL. There's a certain okay, but is it real? Is how much smoke and mirrors are we talking with all that? But tough. It's been a tough road for him because I really did. I was like, yeah. Then in a couple of years he'll replace Goff, and I think they obviously did too, right? When they took him, I understand he didn't go in the first round, but when you take a guy in the third round like that, that's probably about what you're thinking, right? Kind of like when the Titans took Malik Willis, and it just hasn't worked out. So it'd be great to see him play well and hang in there and stick around. Is there any chance that he could have such a renaissance that he could actually threaten Mitch Trubisky for QB2? I mean, it's probably doubtful. It's probable that it's doubtful, but hey, give it a shot.
I mean, right now, as the quarterback room stands, I don't want to see Mitch Trubisky play much at all in the preseason. Just give Levis the first half and give Hooker the second half, and let's roll. I know what Mitch Trubisky is, and he's fine. He's going to be your backup quarterback. Great. And let's just let QB 3 and 4 roll.
Yeah. I mean, that's the interesting thing is now it's just a matter of when with Levis, right?
You would think
it's a matter of when. So is the plan okay, I mean, teams do go with 4 in the preseason. Is a plan to just roll with that and hope that Levis plays well and maybe he can up his value a little smidge in the preseason, or are we not going to see any Will Levis throwing passes in Titan uniform again?
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, think about how much time people spent on our show and other shows bickering about, Will Levis versus Hendon Hooker 2 years ago. And think about where that conversation rests now. They're on the same team, and you're talking about quarterback 3 and quarterback 4 in whatever order you want to rank them.
I think the overall message is almost all these guys don't work out. It's just eventually at different levels, at different levels.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you're wondering if a QB is gonna, be a QB drafted high is gonna be what you hope, probably not. Yeah, probably not. And again, these guys, neither of them are first round picks, so they're a little bit different. But there were still high hopes for both of them.
Well, and it's gone about as poorly as you could have imagined for Hooker to this point, right? It's been worst case scenario probably for Hendon Hooker. I mean, coming off the injury when he got drafted, you thought, maybe that first year's a wash coming off the ACL. And, he played in the preseason. Joey made a couple plays in the preseason a couple years ago where it's just okay, you can see it a little bit. And then it just absolutely never materialized after that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just hard for me to believe that there's not something there. I know, again, the personality, how smart he is. And, I know he does the right things. It's just, how much did the ACL mess him up? I mean, that is still possible. You kind of dismiss ACLs, but they still can affect people, after they have them. And you wonder if that's part of it. But, he never had a huge arm, but such good touch on the deep ball, and a good enough arm. There are other guys in this league who don't have great arms who start. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can, do anything. Cam says Will Levis will be traded on draft weekend. That'd be my expectation too. I mean, I would think that it's and we'll throw in Levis.
Yeah.
It's not going to be breaking. It'll be and also they threw in Will Levis. Hopefully it'll actually get mentioned in whatever trade happens.
I mean, Cam Ward barely got mentioned last year. He got picked first overall, and then they immediately went into, so Travis Hunter, here comes a trade for the Jags.
Oh, my gosh, yeah, that's
Cam Ward got, 11 seconds of screen time after being drafted first overall last year in the NFL.
Had a tape-delayed interview with him.
Yeah.
Trevor says in a Tubi documentary of the backup QB battle between Hooker and Trubisky. There we go.
You want to get me to subscribe to Tubi. That may be what it takes.
He says he watched all 3 episodes of the Cam Ward doc. Nothing too exciting. LOL. So
Okay.
that's good. I've been waiting for somebody who's seen it to let us know.
JC and Gillisville wondering if we can get Milton in here, Joe Milton, and settle this thing once and for all.
Oh my
Can you
goodness!
imagine a QB room of Hooker, Levis, and Milton?
How about some Jarrett Garantano?
I mean, if you combined all of their attributes, it'd be a heck of a quarterback.
Robo QB, best player ever.
Yeah.
Move aside. Peyton Manning, the best QB of all time.
Think about like the combined arm strength of Milton and Levis. I mean, that's a heck of a thought.
I think if Milton was combined into a QB, you'd actually want to reduce some of the strength, wouldn't you?
Probably so.
So you don't hurt someone.
Like, Joe, you just threw that into the 11th row. Let's dial that one back a little bit.
Hey, Joe, why is there a hole in that receiver's chest?
I will say, in all seriousness, I think like the more time that goes away from it, and we're going to talk a lot about Josh Heupel throughout this year because of how much pressure's on him heading into next year. But I mean, you think about it. I mean, Hendon Hooker, his numbers at Tennessee were just absurd, right? I mean, we've gone through those.
Ridiculous.
Absurd numbers. He gets to the NFL, drafted in the 3rd round, and pretty clearly, doesn't look like an NFL quarterback. Joe Milton, he gets him to the NFL. He's a backup in Dallas right now. Nico, we'll see what ends up happening with him. But Joey Aguilar has a great year last year. Like, all of a sudden, I look at the offense, and I'm like, we were talking so much about Hooker, and he was a great player at Tennessee. And I don't know the next time that they'll get, that level of production at the quarterback position. Like, Aguilar was really good. It wasn't Hendon Hooker level good at Tennessee. But I start to look at Heupel, and it's like, that guy can figure out quarterback. It's pretty clear that he can put together a productive quarterback on the field.
Oh, no doubt about it. The other side of that is he's still like, you gotta have someone who, and I thought Hooker would be that guy who comes in the NFL and is like, yes, you want to go to, you can do well at Tennessee, because other people recruiting against him are like, great, you can go get numbers, but the NFL won't like you. He needs that to end, and probably the next hope for that obviously is one of these young guys who's in the program right now.
615-737-1025, our phone number. The best and worst things in sports coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is the worst. You look like you're feeling sorry for yourself.
He's one of one. He is him.
This is a Coke bottle. It's not a crystal ball.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Okay, let's go.
It is that time of the week. Time for the best things, the worst things in sports. We'll take your best and worst on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe Rexrode, kick us off with your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Well, thank you. My best, I guess it's top of mind because I was in this kid's hometown all day yesterday, but it's Braylon Mullins and that shot for UConn to beat Duke. I was actually kind of shocked to see, Connor say, who covered the Leitner shot, that this was better. I think that might be a recency bias, but hey, he was at both. I just know that this one now is going to be like on the very short list of plays that are just replayed over and over. That whole sequence is insane. Of course, if you hate Duke, it's even better. By the way, is Vingan okay?
Yeah, he did not appreciate me bringing that up the other day on the show.
Yeah, I know. Poor Duke fans. They just don't get, not enough winning and success. So that's but regardless of the Duke thing, that play and that shot for a freshman who, had been in a shooting slump, and it's an incredible story. And Greenfield, Indiana is a lovely town, by the way. Have you ever heard of James Whitcomb Riley?
No.
Okay, well, he's one of the greatest poets of all time, and he's from there. And I went to his museum yesterday, I'll have you know. So that is easily the best in sports. Braylon Mullins with that absolutely. It's in the Athletic today. You can check it out.
Good.
My worst in sports, Tiger Woods. It's just an awful thing. And, this is apart from, a lot of memes and all that stuff, and it's going to happen. But, I mean, it's also a sad, serious story with him, and hope he can figure it out and get help.
Yep, no doubt about that. Ian Safari, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Yep, I had both of those on my short list here. So good on Joe for mentioning those.
Sorry, man, going first. Robby, let's go first.
I might need to change the order.
No, it's fine. But my best, I'm gonna go with Wemby, Victor Wembanyama. Sounds like he's kind of living up to the hype.
Oh yeah,
he's absurd.
He's very good.
Yeah, 40.
I was watching him last night.
Yeah,
God.
41 and 18, I think I saw. So super fun. We'll see if they can make a run in the playoffs without any, much experience. That's kind of the whole talk. But hey, when you got all that hype and you kind of live up to it in the second year, fun stuff there from Wemby. So good on him. And I'll go a little worst soccer action. How about Italy missing the World Cup again?
Yeah.
I don't know. Pretty crazy. You would think of all the places that would be in the World Cup, Italy. And as a side note, World Cup prices going back on sale now that the group is officially set, the playing field.
Yep.
Prices a bit extreme. So good luck out there, folks. Watch out for FIFA.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Nick Fraser okay? Man, that is crazy.
He'd be fine. He probably got, some third cousin on the team, so he'd figure it out.
This is the third consecutive World Cup that they've missed.
Yeah.
God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, still the most amazing thing this year is Fraser had like a third cousin on the Italian hockey team for the Olympics.
Yes,
of course he did. Okay, cool. Good stuff. My best thing in sports, we're getting to the time of year where we got some playoff style hockey going on. I'm loving the races in the Eastern and Western Conference in the NHL, beyond just the Predators of local interest, which is going to occupy most of our attention. But I just love hockey this time of year. We're a couple of weeks away from the playoffs. It is a beautiful thing. My worst thing in sports, I'll just go in general here, Joe. The ABS challenges in baseball from a couple of different standpoints. Number one, people are challenging stuff all the time, and it's just like, okay, well, let's take another, 20 seconds to get this figured out, whether the ball or strike call is right. But number two, it kind of highlights, Joe, how many ball and strike calls they miss every game out here. And the Yankees, they went 5 for 5 on ABS challenges the other day when they lost to the Mariners. 5 for 5. So plate umpire Mike Esterbrook, I mean, you could see it by about the fourth or fifth one. He was just kind of looking at the replay like, oh, God, please tell me I got it right. He didn't. 5 for 5, the New York Yankees in their challenges the other day against the Mariners. And I know there's some – look, it's baseball. There's going to be some degree of human error. You're not going to nail every call behind the plate. But it does kind of show you just like if you're going strictly by how they've labeled this thing with the ABS zone, like how many calls that they miss out there.
Yeah, but then to me, it's just like, you know what? To me, it's just about a particular human strike zone and them being consistent within it. That's what I care about. You know, you figure it out. Okay, this guy's got a high zone, this guy's got a low, whatever it is. So I just hate the whole thing.
I think it's funny.
I mean,
baseball players are
five
like,
challenges. I mean, come on.
and the baseball players are like tweaking their official height on on the programs now to make sure that their strike zone is not so big,
not so wide. Yeah,
like all of a sudden, every other sport you want to be as tall as possible. Now baseball, you just bring it down to my
I'm
real
actually
height, please.
4'8".
Yeah. See, look, just me down here.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like I think I told you guys. You know, when I was a teenager, I actually try to get shorter height on my driver's license to help with the Gus Macker basketball tournament, so we'd be in an easier division. I'm not kidding.
The fix
People
was
did
in.
that.
Fix was in. One texter says, the worst thing is from Lance, says the NCAA refusing to move the men's championship games to Saturday night. Joe, what do you think? There's a lot of, and both with the basketball game and with the college football national championship, we have this conversation every year. Like, is Monday night really the best time for all this? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think I'm totally there with the football. I mean, I don't, I feel like you can find something. But is this something, Lance, that like did this actually come up and I missed it, or is this just a constant complaint about the fact that they won't do it?
I'm reading it as a constant complaint.
Yeah, with basketball, look, I believe me, especially next Tuesday, I will not love that they have this late Monday game, for the net. But I think that's tradition, and you do occupy Saturday night with the other two games, right? It's like you could, I guess, go back to like Thursday and then Saturday for the championship game. But I think it's fine. The earlier the better on the Monday. That's my whole thing, I understand you're trying to capture the West Coast too, and people get off work, but the earlier the better would be my one complaint. But I agree on football.
I mean, when's game time set for Monday? Is it like 8:10 or something like that?
It always, for a long time, it was like 8:18 Central, which is it's just too late. I mean, it's again on the East Coast night. I mean, like kids on the Eastern time zone, it was a big deal when my parents finally let me stay up, to watch the championship game. And it's like, you're tired the next day and living on East Coast time. But yeah, like to me, it's like, why can't you do right at 7 Central? That's right at 5 Pacific.
It's been the best and worst things in sports. Keep yours coming on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, friend of the show, Bruce Feldman, with a very unique approach to his mock draft strategy that he does every year, and some very interesting tidbits on guys that we've talked a lot about that could be available at number 4 for the Titans. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We'll be joined by Preds assistant GM Jeff Kelty a little bit later this hour at 7:30. The Rob rant coming up later this hour is where all that ahead. Joe, friend of the show, Bruce Feldman. I always enjoy the pieces he puts together at The Athletic, whether it's the Freaks list or what he participates in every year with his mock draft, which is not your typical, well, let me just roll through picks here and see how it's going to be. He formulates his mock draft at The Athletic based on conversations that he's had talking with coaches, scouts, agents, things of the like. So, I mean, a lot of it ends up relatively the same because that's also where people like, Dane Brugler and Mel Kiper and all these guys are partially getting their information from. But it's interesting to get kind of the coaching and the scouting angle to this as well. And there, it's not a ton of variation at the top of the draft. The names that we've talked a lot about are right there at the top of the draft. But I always love kind of looking in here, Joe, and seeing what some of these people who have either game planned against or have really studied these prospects have to say. And, on the Jeremiah Love front, you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody to say anything bad about him. There's a defensive coordinator who went up against Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame that had this to say, quote, "This guy is super fast, runs so hard, explosive, the best word to describe him. He's a true home run hitter. He was the best back we've faced in years. Only knock I probably got on him is that he loves to leave his feet. He's going to have to learn to be smarter with that, but I think he's really special." Another DB coach in the Big Ten says, I think he's probably the best player in this draft. He outran some 10-5, 100-meter guys on the road, on route to some of those long touchdown runs. I think he's got the right mentality. So, basically the knock we've been able to find on Jeremiah Love at this point is he might leave his feet a little bit too much trying to pick up some extra yards. That's about it. But I love this exercise that Bruce Feldman puts together every year. I think it kind of takes you under the hood a little bit of how these people view some of these prospects.
No, it does. And Bruce, obviously Bruce, he knows like every freaking assistant coach in college football.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, he does a great job of leveraging that and getting some really good information in these things. I think this is one of the must reads of the year. And another thing about Love is, just Bruce writing this, he says, he's also an outstanding receiver. And he says Notre Dame coaches thought he could legitimately play wide receiver if he wasn't so good at running back. Also best in pass pro. We knew that, best in pass pro. But that's even to me a little bit higher level of like, yes, we know he's a pass catcher. He could do more. He can do that in the NFL. But when you hear that Notre Dame coaches thought that they could actually split him out, play him at wide out, that's pretty exciting. I mean, that's where, to me, if this is where the Titans go, then that has to be a huge part of why, and a huge usage rate for him, right, in the passing game. I mean, again, if he's that good, yeah, I mean, and of course you see this with backs, but like you can see a steadier diet of, you split him out and put him in the slot and in various looks and really give him more than your basic choice routes in the middle of the field and stuff like that. I mean, that's, to me, like anything that you can do to get the ball in his hands is what you need to do. So it's exciting, but also, Robbie, I would say this exercise made me think, man, they really need to get David Bailey still because the commentary on him is also very, very strong. And in Bruce's draft here, he's got the Cowboys moving up to get him, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. That'd be tough. Now, I guess if that happens, then the choice is a lot easier for the Titans, but that also tells you a little bit, along with some of these things, just how excellent of a prospect David Bailey is as well.
Well, of course, the thing about the Cowboys is they've got 2 first-round picks after the Micah Parsons trade from a year ago. So, on the Jerry Jones front, if you could leverage that, move up to number 3, and then get what you think is a younger replacement for Micah Parsons, you'd be feeling pretty good about things at that point there. But yeah, I mean,
and we've seen Arizona willing to move out of that spot.
We
before,
sure have,
right?
We sure have
with the Will Anderson, CJ Stroud situation.
And then also on the Arizona front, which is what's made them so interesting in this conversation right before the Titans at number 3. To me, they need so much, quarterback included, that if you're them, you could trade down and you could pick up more picks. That'd probably be the route I go. And we know that they need a tackle. I mean, we've seen some people, projecting maybe they would take a tackle at number 3. Well, in this scenario, they move down to number 12, which is where the Cowboys' first pick is, and they still end up with Monroe Freeling, the tackle out of Georgia. So maybe a scenario there for Arizona that would make some sense. But yeah, Joe, I mean, you're talking about, David Bailey here and some of the commentary from the Big 12 personnel that have gone up against him. Like one offensive coordinator in the Big 12 says, he's so physical, he can bull rush right through you and put an offensive lineman on their back. He's also good against the run. Super smart guy. You could see on film that he knew where to fit in the defense and he wasn't freelancing. He's doing his job. He's a complete player, really special. Like, the commentary on David Bailey here, I mean, it's pretty amazing. So, it's what you expect when you're talking about the number 4 pick overall and the number 3 overall. You're hoping you're talking about some of these players here. I remember Feldman was on our show a few weeks ago back on the Jeremiah Love front. And he, I remember raising my eyebrows saying that he loved, no pun intended, way more than he loved Ashton Genty last year, who went number 6. And he kind of doubles down on that on the piece here, saying that, he's a more dynamic talent, more complete player than Ashton Genty was as a prospect coming out of last year.
Yeah, and that's saying something. I know right now it's easy for everybody to be like, yeah, Ashton Genty was okay. It was. I was a little disappointed. I mean, I still, when I watch, and it wasn't a lot because it was the freaking Raiders, but when I watched, I still thought I saw, some of the explosives and just not a lot of chance for him. But I still like that guy in college, and I understand that on a weekly basis they didn't play great teams, but I also saw him destroy an Oregon defense loaded with pros, and I still think he was a really good prospect. We'll see if that pans out. But if Love is truly like a cut above, that's exciting. But again, even more on Bailey, like, this other guy, Big 12 assistants, talking about his ability to switch gears too.
Yep.
I'll give a little part of the quote. So why it's such a problem for tackles in space, or when he's one-on-one with a guard because they can't stop and go like he can and still have power. I thought that was a superpower. He's just a different dude. And again, that's the thing. When I watched him, like I know the knock has certainly been that he hasn't been, as strong as an early down player and all that stuff. But like this year, when I watched him, I thought he still was dominating people in that aspect as well with his strength. I mean, he's pretty complete in my view. And man, what if that is a choice? If this scenario doesn't play out, and if that's a choice, it's so fascinating.
I tell you, when I saw Feldman come out with this mock draft yesterday, obviously I was interested to see who he had going to the Titans and what he had to say about, Jeremiah Love and David Bailey. I think equal to that, I was interested to see what people that he talked to had to say on the Ruben Bain front, right? Because, there's all the discourse about the short arms and all that. And then you look at the film and you're like, well, he was probably the best defensive lineman in football, in college football last year. Well, this is what a Big Ten assistant coach had to say. Quote, all those people who talk about how short his arms are idiots. This is just an asinine conversation that people are having. Watch his film. He's going to be a dude. He's going to be an elite pass rusher. And then he kind of goes into all the attributes that go with it. But all these people who talk about how short his arms are idiots, are the quote from the Big Ten assistant coach, Joe.
I think my favorite part of that quote is there's R and R back to back. People who talk about how short his arms are idiots. That's a strong quote. Yeah. I really am rooting for Bain to prove that quote correct. I understand. Look, I understand the history. And so it's just how it is. Like, and there is absolutely a correlation between that. You are going up against consistently taller tackles in the NFL than you did in college with longer arms, and that's just it's just like a boxing match, which of course I've heard that thing too, right? People are like, well, Mike Tyson didn't have reach, he destroyed all these dudes with better reach, but reach is a big thing in boxing. I mean, it's what it is. It's one of the things that is a very important measurable in that sport, and it's been here. But I hope that quote turns out to be true, because we flip it around and he comes out and it turns out that he just has to play inside, and he's going to be a good player. It's just a question of, is he going to be, oh my God, we should have taken him in the top 5. What were we thinking? Or just a good player?
Speaking of boxing, 102.5 The Game and Team Boxing League have your chance to win a pair of VIP tickets as Nashville Smash takes on Phoenix Fury at Municipal Auditorium coming up on Friday, April the 17th. Just text the keyword FIGHT to the game text line at 615-737-1025 to be entered for your chance to win. More to get to on the NFL draft front coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Raise a glass with Tennessee Brew Works, proud partner and official craft beer of the football offseason coverage here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. We're taking your thoughts on the Titans and the NFL draft. We'll have Preds assistant general manager Jeff Kelty with us here at 7:30. Huge game coming up tonight for the Nashville Predators. Take your thoughts on that throughout the show as well. Joe, one thing we have not brought up this week, it was Tennessee's Pro Day earlier this week, and a lot of eyeballs on Jermod McCoy, who, of course, did not play for Tennessee this past year after being one of the best corners in the country in 2024. Well, he did his testing. He ran a 4.3840, a 38-inch vertical jump, 10.7 on the broad jump. And Todd McShay putting this out there. The 40 would have been tied for second among corners at the NFL Combine, and the broad jump tied for 10th. Testing went really well for Jermod McCoy. So this is what McShay said. McCoy was reportedly cleared to play during the season, but opted not to, and he chose not to participate in the Senior Bowl in the Combine. Seeing him compete and participate today, and that was a couple days ago, was critical for teams considering a cornerback in round one. And McShay said he's his cornerback 2 on the board behind Mansour Delaney from LSU there. So what do you make of that, Joe? A 4.3840 for Jermod McCoy. We were going to be interested to see what the testing looked like. He was mocked in the first round by basically everybody. And now that he's tested that way and it looks like he's completely healthy, he's going in the first round.
Oh, no question. And, so it's funny because as we're talking about like the Feldman mock here has him, 14 to the Ravens with not that information yet. In the SEC OC says, quote, he's an incredible player in 24. I think he's awesome. He's really long, really athletic. I'm not sure how straight line fast he is. But it says he's twitchy. So there you go. Well, you got straight line fast too. So I don't know. Is Bruce selling him short? At 14, and also that would, every time I see the Ravens, for some reason, I'm just like, of course, whatever they pick, it's like, of course they'll get him there. It's like you feel like the Ravens always draft well, but Delane from LSU is the highest corner he has, and you wonder if even McCoy. That's probably what it's going to be, right? He's probably going to be the CB1,
probably so,
but. It might be like bang, bang right there. And he's definitely going in the first now with that testing and showing that he's, past the ACL and everything.
Yeah, and that's good news for him on that front. You also got Colton Hood that could end up going maybe even, late first round, maybe early second round, depending on kind of how that falls there. But it continues to be amazing. You think about how bad Tennessee was on defense last year, and they're going to end up, when everything's said and done, having 2 corners, of course, one of which who didn't play last year, going in the first round probably.
But still, yeah, it's like, really? Yeah. Another thing with this, Robbie, with this exercise, I feel, it's not like I'm sitting here like, all alone on an island or anything like that, but I definitely feel validated in like just Cornell Tate, like good. It's like a lot of like essentially like, yeah, he's good, but he doesn't scare you, like he's not a top 10 pick. That's when one guy says he's not top 10 good, but I don't think this is a good draft. And man, the Caleb Downs stuff is really interesting. Like he never covered anybody. There's a lot of like he's a really good player, but like they actually didn't put him in coverage situations that tested him. And that's sometimes the problem with Ohio State is, you're so good everywhere else that you just don't get exposed ever. And I think that might be a little bit of the thing with him.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where he goes. There's, I think as somebody puts it here in the article, the floor on him to me is extremely high. Like I think he's going to be a really good player. There's the knee stuff that people are talking about with him, and then, like everything you just rolled out there, and then he's a safety, right? So what does all that mean? Like, does he find his way out of the top 10? Even though I think when you start lining up like who are the best football players in the draft, like you can put Love at the top, Sonny Styles could be in that conversation. Frankly, I think Caleb Downs is in that conversation too, based on the type of player that I think he is. But based on, the knee stuff and then the position he plays, is he going to go in the top 10? Like I think what Feldman's got him at 10, right at 10 for the Bengals. So is that where he's going to land? Does he go higher than that? I am interested to see what happens on the Caleb Downs front, because I think whoever does take him is going to end up getting a really good player. Yeah,
I do too. But I am a little afraid. I am a little scared away by there's not, it's a lot more box stuff than deep part of the field stuff that that got something to do. And obviously, we know that defense had just got after people. Maybe the most some of the most complimentary and just almost over the top stuff here is like about Arvell Reese. It's like, I mean, just it really, like, the one coach says this guy's an alien. And all the stuff he could do, including like even coverage and like everything, run at that size, running a whatever he ran, like what he run, a 4.6 or whatever, or no, a 4.46. Good God, 4.46 for him. So you look at like Reese and Styles, who I think just like everybody, like people think Reese is going right away, and then Styles is very, very possibly going top 5. And with both of those guys at that level, how much does that impact other people in that defense?
Yeah, it's a good question, man, because both of them just absolutely freakish athletically. By the way, on the Fernando Mendoza front, he's going number 1 overall to the Raiders. It is interesting, though, that with every conversation with Mendoza, like, it's a foregone conclusion that he's going number 1 overall. And then at some point in all these conversations, Joe, it turns into Feldman was describing it. He was talking to a coach about him, and he was talking about the qualities that he has. He says the same coach, though, did admit that he's kind of surprised that Mendoza is going to be a first overall pick. Like, it always ends up being the case with a guy that seems to be surefire going number 1. It's always like, it's kind of surprising that he's going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, and I totally get it. I mean, I a lot of respect for Mendoza. Obviously, we all enjoy the personality. I think he has a chance to be a good quarterback in the NFL, but he's not. I mean, he doesn't compare as a prospect to some of these top guys. Like, an interesting one is like Mendoza. I mean, he'd go, but like if Cam Ward were in the same draft with him, how would they be compared to each other?
It's a good question. I mean, I would think Ward probably gets the nod, but I mean,
you're
talking about two people there that had plenty of detractors of whether or not they should have been a first overall pick.
Right. Speaking of that, and I'm looking here, I just want to make sure I'm accurate on this because this is really interesting, but it appears that he does not expect, did I miss it? Does he not expect Ty Simpson to go in the first? Which goes against the grain, very much. It seems like in mock draft world right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's kind of interesting too. Like, I don't see a mention of like what that's. I mean, whatever Bruce. I mean, now again, Bruce is a college writer, so it's more what the college people think of the players. But I still put some stock in that. That's interesting.
Undrafted free agent. Let's quickly head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in East Nashville Ed to the program here on the show. East Nashville.
Hey, good morning. Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, listen, let me ask you a question. Let's just assume we take Love in our first pick. Do you think that guy is good as Derrick Henry coming out of college?
I mean, is he going to turn into an all-time great player? I have no idea. As a prospect, yes, he is.
Okay, as a prospect, I think he's better.
You think he's better? What about Ezekiel Elliott when he came out of Ohio State? You think he's better than that guy?
That's probably a better comparison. Pretty similar. I'll tell you why he's like. First of all, I was wrong. I thought Derrick Henry was too slow of a starter for the NFL, and also he didn't catch the ball at all at Alabama, and that's a big part of today's game. So that's why he went in the second round. And again, the Titans had a huge fight in their room for where he went in the second round. So yeah, as a prospect, but this is a great example of why we all think we know something, and then we actually see him play in the NFL.
Well, guys, look, I'm not sure, man. You say he's the best player in the draft. He's the best, maybe the best running back. He's not the best player. He's not the best offensive lineman. I hate when we say that. He's not the best receiver. He's just a running back that may be able to catch a few balls here and there. But if he's not, if you're going to spend a number 1 pick, that high of a pick on a running back, he's got to be there for 8, 9, 10 years like Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, those guys. I don't see him being around 6, 7, 8 years. I don't. And if not, I think you're wasting a pick. Go get you a great offensive lineman or a great defensive end that's going to be there for a long term.
Thank you, Ed.
That's just my pick. All right.
Appreciate the call. Well, we'll respond to that a little bit later in the show. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. It's a massive game tonight for the Nashville Predators. They're on the road in L.A. We will talk to Preds assistant GM Jeff Kelty coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. A massive one for the Preds tonight on the road, taking on the LA Kings. And to help us talk more about the Preds, we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Preds Assistant General Manager Jeff Kelty to the program. Brought to you by Aero Exterminators, going beyond the call. Aero Exterminators, a proud partner with the Nashville Predators. Jeff, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing well.
Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So, Jeff, let's just start there. It's a huge game tonight against the Kings. They win last night, so they jump you in the standings for the time being, but you've got them twice coming up here in the next week. So as the team is embarking on this 5-game road trip here, what do you make of kind of where things stand in the standings and the opportunity here for your group?
Well, we didn't get any help last night with San Jose winning either, but you know, as you pointed out, we control our own fate here, and I think you know, if you asked kind of back towards the beginning of the season, the way things were, and this is where you'd be at right now, where you have an opportunity to kind of control your own destiny, and you've got the young players in the lineup that are getting that experience. I think organizationally that we take that, you know. So certainly a huge trip, like you said. You got LA twice, you got San Jose twice, so it's right there. And these are the games that you want. So we'll see what happens here.
Of those young players, Jeff, who stands out to you maybe here in the last few weeks? Maybe you've learned something about them, or you've seen something that you really wanted to see with this opportunity.
Well, I think you start with Matthew Wood. I mean, he's been with us most of the year, but you know, he had a really good stretch early in the year, then kind of you know, had his ups and downs over the course of the long season, and then really coming out of the Olympic break here and some of the moves he made, and now him getting moved to play center. I don't know how you can't be excited about the potential with him, a 6'4" centerman that can make plays and shoot the puck, and really you see the way he and a guy like Philip Forsberg work together. I mean, we saw that in training camp a little bit when they, you know, you try different things in camp with different players, and we had Woody and Phil together, and you could see that they clicked. And now to see it with Woody in the middle, you know, in crunch time of the season, you know, gives you, I think, a real good glimpse of what the future could hold there. And I think another guy, you know, he's had good contributions from lots of the young guys, but Zach LaRue, I think, has come up and played really well since he's come back up here recently. You know, he spent a good amount of the season with us last year. You know, got kind of squeezed out a little bit to start this season, had some injuries, those sorts of things, but you got to give him a lot of credit. He went down to Milwaukee, worked really hard, you know, just kept his head down and kept going. And when he's come back here, he's been a really effective player for us. So, like I said, contributions from lots of guys. You know, Ryan Ufko has been really good. But, you know, again, this is a great experience for all these young players, and, you know, they'll be better for it in the long run here.
Jeff, how much of a step forward do you think this year has been specifically for Evangelista? He's hit the 50-point total for the first time in his career, but really just in his all-around game with the responsibility that you guys have given him this year. What do you think of the year that Luke Evangelista has had to this point?
Been really good. You know, he I think he's got 40 assists,
yep.
50 points, 50 some odd points. You know, again, he's still a young player. He's had some dips here and there, but the production is there. I mean, he makes plays. At the end of the day, that's kind of the thing that we always talk about with him. As a young player, you're going to have different things, but he always finds a way to make plays. He's got a real elusiveness to the way he plays when he's got the puck on his stick. But to your point, just the different situations, the trust that he's earned with the coaches. I mean, I think that's when you play with those top guys, you know, you're going to get tough matchups, tough situations, you know, in different games. And to see where he's trusted by the coaches in those situations, whether it's late in the period, late in the game, to go along with the offensive ability that he has, I think you're really, really seeing the maturity of the player. And he'll be a big part of all this going forward for sure.
Yeah, Jeff, you mentioned the experience these guys are getting. You know, this is something we talk about a fair amount, which is, as you guys obviously push trying to get in the playoffs, you know, what is the benefit for the young guys in particular just to even taste the playoffs? Well, from your perspective, how important is that? Like, if some of these guys are able to, you know, to get a playoff series, what does that do for them?
I think it does a ton for them, because you can't replicate these situations anywhere. You know, there's the whole process that the players go through to get to this point, whether it's, you know, coming up through the amateur ranks and playing in Milwaukee, you know, and even getting their first taste in the league. But you just cannot. It's sort of like I was saying about Matthew Wood with Forsberg before. You know, we tried that a little bit early in the year. We tried that in training camp, but I mean, you can't replicate what he'll face, you know, in these games here, where every little thing matters. You know, it's every shift matters, every situation, every face-off matters. So, for these young players to experience that and go through that, like I said, you just cannot replicate that, and they'll learn a ton from it moving forward here. So it's all good. Like I said, we take this with where we were earlier in the year and where we're trying to get to and what these guys need to go through. A pretty good stretch here to see what everybody's made of here.
So, Jeff, on the Brady Martin front, obviously he starts the year with you guys, kind of gets a taste of things in the NHL. He's dealt with, an injury this year that he's had to come through on the other side of. And now he has him. I saw a clip the other day of him just laying the body on the forecheck, scoring a huge goal in the game. He's got, I think, 24 points in 24 games in the OHL this year. So what do you make of where he is and the progress that he's made this year, even though he's had to battle through a couple of different tough circumstances?
He's been good. Like you touched on, the season's been a little bit disjointed for him in the sense that, he came into camp, played really well, made our team out of camp, then was in and out, scratched a bunch of times, which happens with a young player. We eventually sent him back. So going back to junior, he's kind of a late start there, but starts off really well, then gets injured. Was kind of playing through something. Came back just before the World Juniors because he wanted to be ready for that. Played really well at the World Juniors. Might have been Canada's best player until he got injured there in the semifinal game, and then that put him on for another chunk of time. And then when he came back, it's kind of now towards the end of the regular season in junior, and he's getting his timing and his legs back and all that kind of thing. So it's kind of been, I say disjointed because you're on this team, you're on that team, you're injured, even the World Junior tournament itself, you're away from your club team for a month or so. But now the playoffs are going on in the OHL. He's been really good, led the way there. I was at the Sioux. They're playing London in the first round. I was at game one, and he was terrific, driving, leading the way. So he's on track. What we do with him next year, we'll have to wait and see. I think we always say the same thing. The players got to kind of decide with their play and with where they are, what we think the right thing is, and we'll let that play out. But again, another young player that's going to be a real big part of everything going forward here.
Is there something specific with him that you want to see him improve, or is it just a matter of just getting that time in and growing his game and getting the reps?
I think it's the maturity aspects. He's got lots of ability. He's got all kinds of physicality and drive and heart and all that. It's just the day-to-day type stuff of any young player. It's learning consistency. It's learning how to take care of yourself off the ice and approach day-to-day, those sorts of things. But he's 19 years old. You forget that. Like you go back to the beginning of the year, he's 18 years old and he's on our team. And then I have kids that are twins that are 16 years old, and I know what they go through every day, So you forget how young these guys are. So I think it's probably some of the same stuff that, you're going through. Think of an 18-year-old in life. It's the same thing in their game. It's just the maturity aspects. But again, all this stuff through everything he's been through this year, starting the year in the NHL, getting hurt, World Juniors, now back. Like it's all really good experience for him and helps him along with his development.
Well, Jeff, you're really kind with your time as always. We appreciate so much you taking time to be with us this morning. Huge game tonight. Maybe get you a nap today and enjoy yourself. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Preds Assistant General Manager Jeff Kelty, our guest here on the program. Brought to you by Aero Exterminators. Going beyond the call, Aero Exterminators, a proud partner with the Nashville Predators. We will take your thoughts on the Preds tonight. We're going to get back into the Preds coming up to begin the 8 o'clock hour. We got the Rob Rant coming up next. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
I'm wrong all the time.
These guys kind of suck.
Hendon Hooker sucked, has no talent.
I'm getting freaking Hendon Hooker.
A pineapple? I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, I'm a big swinger.
Maybe the Titans actually do covet Hendon Hooker.
Here's a man that has touched the hem of Jesus.
You don't know a damn thing, dude. I still think Hendon Hooker is going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. Laugh at me if you will.
It is that time of the day. Time of the Rob Rant here on the program. Boy, there really hasn't been a whole lot of discussion of Hendon Hooker over the last couple of years for somebody who's played, I think, thrown 9 NFL passes. But hey, good for him.
I give Ian credit for finding some of my wonderful declarations about Hendon Hooker. I will say that probably pretty easy to find because I said it a lot, unfortunately.
You were very confident in Hendon Hooker.
Yeah. Here we go again.
I mean, we'll see.
More good evaluations.
The career's not over. You know?
That's true.
Let's get another shot here. We'll see how things go on that front. So, John, I want to talk to you today about college basketball, which, as we know, one of the nation's leading experts, myself, in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm irate or furious about this piece that Dan Wetzel put together. But I do think we got to stop throwing, a few words around as loosely as we do in the world of sports. Here was a headline from a column that Dan Wetzel put together at ESPN.com that says why Big Ten men's hoops dominance might be here to stay. So, Joe, this goes through, obviously, 4 Big Ten teams reached the Elite Eight. Michigan looks like an absolute wagon right now. You've got Illinois in the Final Four. So it's been a very good year for Big Ten basketball. We all know that. And, one of them may very well go on to win the national championship here. We'll see. But are we not, Joe? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Are we not 1 year removed from the SEC having, in your words, maybe the greatest greatest season by a conference in the history of the sport, and an SEC team winning a national championship? So, this idea that Big Ten dominance has been this thing, we're a year removed from the SEC having maybe the greatest basketball conference of all time and an SEC team winning the national championship, which is something, by the way, that a Big Ten team has not done since 2000 when Michigan State won the national championship. Now, that very well could change here in the next, few days. We'll wait and see. But for a conference that hasn't won a national championship in 26 years, can we stop throwing the word dominance around? They're having a great year in the Big Ten. And this piece does an excellent job of explaining, NIL and the impact that that's having on not just recruiting in the Big Ten, but obviously, getting players in the transfer portal. And it talks about Yaxel Lindenberg and all these other guys that have joined these teams. And that's great. We know the Big Ten's got a lot of money. Obviously, Big Ten's on a pretty good run in football right now with Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana winning the last 3 national championships in football. So it's a good time in the Big Ten right now when you talk about the football national championships that they've started to win and the year that they're having to this point on the basketball front. But when we're a year removed from the SEC doing what they did in basketball and winning a national championship, can we slow down a little bit on the Big Ten's dominance in college basketball?
Yeah, no, it's a great rant, and actually, I may have to get in there and write something about this because I totally agree. I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, okay, guys, because this is, and we love Wetzel. Wetzel's the best friend of the show, and it's a well-written column. He makes good points, but it is amazing because I saw, it was Matt Hayes from, I think, USA Today wrote something that was totally the Big Ten is destroying the SEC, and he's using the basketball. It's like, dude, a year ago, it was absolutely unquestionably the best conference season ever in college men's basketball. It just absolutely was in every way. The non-league performance before the season, and then they totally backed it up all the way to having 2 in the Final Four and having the national champion. It was unquestionably the best conference ever last year, the SEC. So, yes, for us to sit here now and talk, I understand some of the points, right? of course, NIL and the investment. But again, the SEC and Big Ten they're going to be basically the same. I mean, the Big Ten might be a little ahead right now in the TV deal, but like they're basically both just going to have more money than everybody else. And look at the coaches in the SEC. The coaches in the Big Ten are great too. But like next year, and a lot of it is going to be the portal. So Michigan gets Yaxel Lendeboer, right? Good for them. I mean, Kentucky tried to pay him something. Don't know how much, but But by the way, good for Mark Pope for finally saying that was untrue. The $79 million, but before saying, "Why don't you guys do some reporting?" We're asking you a question, Mark. But yeah, no, you're totally. I mean, it's overreaction, and it's like I do feel like there is something here with just the whole, and it goes way back on this, just the whole Big Ten SEC thing, right? Like, and I think people in the Midwest and Wetzel's Midwest, I'm not saying he's biased against the SEC, but people always want things to mean maybe more than they do sometimes, right? Especially when we get into Big Ten versus SEC discussions.
Well, by the way, like if you're the Big Ten, like you're having a good time right now, right? Like I mentioned college football, you've won 3 national championships in a row, going, Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana. So you're feeling really good about that right now. You've got the basketball thing is what it is. I mean, look, after watching Michigan the other day, they very well may go win this thing this year. So if you're talking then about, football national championships, 3 that you've won in a row, and Michigan finishing this thing off and winning a national championship coming up this weekend into Monday, well, then great. Maybe you start to get on that road. But number one, can we let a Big Ten team win a national championship, which they haven't done in a quarter of a century first? And then maybe we could start leading into the, how dominant is this conference going to be for an extended period of time?
Exactly. Yeah. Again, 26 years. By the way, I was here in this town covering that.
That's right.
I was young then. What a time. What a time it was. So was Tom Izzo. He still screamed at people. Actually, real quick, the Final Four game against Wisconsin, my seat happened to be like directly behind the Michigan State bench. I could hear everything Izzo said. My God, man. Some of the stuff, like I couldn't even clean it up enough for radio now. It's like I can't even. There's so many farts you can say.
Jeez, Tom.
It's insane. But no, 26 years. I mean, that's not. It's a big deal. If one of them wins it, and I'm with you, Michigan right now looks unbelievable. I think Illinois is good enough. I really do. They have got a lot going for them too, and I think they're going to beat UConn. But if one of them wins it, then there's going to be a whole bunch more stuff like this, right? About it, and at least there's like a championship now to talk about, and so you finally got that part of it done. But I mean, next year, if you tell me right now that the SEC will be the best league in college basketball, okay, or the Big 12. This year it was the Big 10 and the Big 12, or the Big 12, or the Big 10. I mean, even the ACC, it had a big bounce back year this year. After last year, it was like, oh my God, is the ACC dying? No, I mean, Louisville is going to be good moving forward. Duke and Carolina are never going to go away. Virginia has gotten good. Like it's cyclical and it's so much more volatile now, right? Because in every offseason, whoever gets the Lendeboer in that league, and a few of these guys in the portal, like that shifts the power. Or can shift the power.
Do you buy into basically the thought, which is kind of the general premise of this article, that NIL has basically evened things up for the Big Ten when it comes to specifically the SEC, and you're going to see way less? I mean, we're seeing it in football right now. Is it completely NIL related? I don't know. I mean, you tell me. Do you buy into NIL basically being now a bigger advantage for the Big Ten?
Well, I think that's exaggerated a little bit too, as we've talked about before. Like there's people in the Big Ten country who want to say, well, the SEC was paying players, the Big Ten wasn't paying players, and now they are. No, come on, man. I mean, that's just not true. I mean, the market for the best players at the best programs at the best conferences. It's been there the whole time. Was the SEC doing more of it? More intensely? I can buy that. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that the SEC led the way. And if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Okay, but this idea that now the clean Big Ten, oh well, now we can pay. Well, it won't just be room and board. I mean, okay, let's go ahead. Let's go back a few years and go to Columbus and check out some cars being driven around. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like let's live in reality. But I think there's some. But again, it's also that when we talk about the Big Ten, that's also why we talk about Vanderbilt now, right? You know, an SEC program that has been a doormat forever. Now, like, oh no, we can compete now. So I just think it's overall flattened the earth, you know, in that world. So maybe more Big Ten teams have benefited, but some of them still stink, by the way.
Joe Rexrode, a flat earther. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Normally joined by Charles Robinson at 8 o'clock on Thursdays. He will be with us tomorrow on the program. It is a massive game tonight for the Nashville Predators. We'll take your thoughts on that. Plus, my question for Predators fans. Bill Haslam still in the early stages of putting his fingerprints on this team in terms of how he wants to run it. How do you want to see Bill Haslam run this franchise for the next, let's go 10 years. It's hard to go too much beyond that. How would you like to see Bill Haslam run this team? We'll get into how it's been run, maybe some things that I think could be different under Bill Haslam. All that and more coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar, who is getting it done back there and getting it done with a lot of speed as well. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Normally joined by Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. He will be with us tomorrow at 7:30. And then should be back to normally on Thursdays at 8 o'clock after that. So Charles with us tomorrow at 7:30. We will get into the Titans and all things NFL with him. It is a huge game tonight for the Nashville Predators against the LA Kings. We had Preds assistant GM Jeff Kelty with us earlier in the show. If you missed that, go back and check that out. Talked about that game itself earlier in the program, and we will get into that as well throughout the hour here today. But I want to ask this question to Predators fans. You know, we're still in the very early stages of Bill Haslam being the controlling owner, majority owner, and running this team. And obviously, we know there's a general manager search that is taking place. There's a new general manager that's going to be coming in here at some point over the coming days, weeks, months, and it'll be a new era of Nashville Predators hockey. So my question to Preds fans is pretty simple. Like, how do you want to see Bill Haslam run this team, right? How do you want to see him run this operation, which is an operation that in a lot of ways, Joe, has been very successful, right? Like there was a time, and in my younger days, people were wondering, hey, was this going to work out here, right? Like, was hockey going to work? I remember going to a Save the Team rally in the summer of 2007, right? And that 14,000 number, right? That 14,000 number of attendance used to be, good Lord, could they get there? Could they average 14,000? And now, I mean, we don't even talk about it. Nobody even thinks about it anymore. It just is what it is. Like they're selling out the arena pretty much every night, and nobody ever thinks about that stuff anymore. So they've done that. They did a great job of building the fan base. Obviously, the run to the Stanley Cup final, kind of exploded the fan base back in 2017, 2018, and it is what it is now. But on the ice, Joe, while they have been largely successful and they've been in the playoff mix for the most part throughout the entire history of their franchise, other than the very early years, they have been past the second round of the playoffs one time. They have not won a Stanley Cup. They have been to a Stanley Cup final. And you're looking to win, right? Like everybody wants to win. I mean, Bill Haslam didn't get into this for fun, right? Like he wants to win. He wants to win a championship. So how do you go about doing that if you're Bill Haslam? I mean, we've already got people weighing in on the text line. We're going to get to some calls on the phone line here in just a second. But I want to read this from Jacob from Murfreesboro because this is really where I'm going with it. Jacob from Murfreesboro says, quit being overly loyal to quote-unquote Preds guys. The franchise has ultimately to its demise at times been overly loyal to its coaches, GMs, favorite players. I want the team to be run from a standpoint where they're more concerned with long-term health, even if it means having to part ways with fan favorites. A good place to start is to hire a general manager this go-around outside of Preds circles. This team needs new blood and a new vision. So the loyalty part of it, right? We talked about this a little bit earlier this week with Adam Vingan. Vegas is just basically the opposite of loyal. They are cutthroat. They are ruthless. And at the first sign of trouble, they either get rid of you and bring somebody else in, or they're not afraid to make a hard decision, involve themselves in every trade and all that stuff. And look, we can get into like the origins of the franchise and, how much different the expansion rules were. And that all is true. But it's just the way they operate. Like it's very different from a lot of teams in the NHL. So, Joe, let's start there with you. Like, as you're looking at Haslam and the loyalty, which I do think there are good qualities to that in an organization. I think the Predators have probably gone too far in the loyalty direction. How would you like to see Bill Haslam operate this franchise as he continues to kind of get a hold of himself here, being an owner in the National Hockey League?
Well, it's hard to answer without a lot of information he has. But I do think that I totally understand, and most of the reaction right now is instantly like basically just start over, clean slate, all that stuff. And we've talked about it. I think an outside hire makes the most sense here. I do think that there's a little bit of a, baby out with the bathwater type thing here in terms of like, you still need to, if you're him, like, what are the good parts of this franchise? Who is responsible for that? Why? and you gotta, there's going to be some continuity. There's going to be some people who are continuing to move forward after this change, right? And so what works, what's good, I do think that the consistency, the stability, the loyalty, those are all positive traits that have contributed to a solid organization that, as you said, for people who don't remember, weren't here then, like it was a very different situation. And so, like, again, I'm talking not just a hockey team, but like the whole thing, right? He owns the whole thing.
Yeah.
It all goes together. The business side of it, I think they've done, and in some ways, I think they are a model franchise, a professional sports franchise. But yeah, you also, like, you need to be as modern and cutting edge as possible with the best possible people. And I think moving forward, you're going to need to operate more like other franchises. But there are franchises that are slashing and burning left and right, and that can be problematic too, right? I mean, I think you have to find some kind of a middle ground. And I think some of it is just like, who are your really good people you want to move forward with? And then who do you feel like you just got to upgrade on those people so that you can be competitive with the very best in the NHL?
Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Nate to the program. Nate, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning, guys. I think this is one of the first times I'm completely disagreeing with Joe. Understanding that the business side and the hockey side are two completely different areas, but I want everybody in the front office, whether they are hockey ops or not, that has to do with the Predator way to get or to be let go. And yes, that includes Sean Henry. I understand he doesn't have anything to do with, as far as I know, with what goes on the ice. But yes, I guess you do want to keep some of that Predator way because, they are human. Everyone's human. We want to care about everyone like the Preds do. But I just have recent poor memories of the Predator way when it comes to obviously hockey on the ice and everything. The one other thing I want to say, Bill, look at your brother, do the exact opposite. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate it. We have gotten a couple of those on the text line of like be the anti-Jimmy.
Sure. I get it. And look, I understand. Like, there's some people who just want it, like, just totally clean break and new era. But like, there are things that have happened that have been successful that have to do with people who are employed by the Nashville Predators. And so to me, the business side, I'm not messing with that.
No.
But from what I know, not at all. But and look, actually Nate tweeted about like season ticket renewals or something too. And I mean, look, the Preds are still a professional sports franchise. So I have a problem with all of them and the prices they charge and the rates they jack up when there's any success and all this stuff. I mean, the freaking Lions just tripled their prices or whatever when they had a brief fart of success. I mean, like that, it's infuriating. So the Preds are still part of that whole world, which is a problem.
Let's head back to the phone line. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Are y'all picking us to win tonight?
I am.
You are?
Sure.
I got a really bad feeling about it, man.
Do you?
Like, I don't know what it is. It feels like when we went on our heater 2 years ago, I was like, man, I want to see them lose so I can see if they know how to bounce back. Not seeing a whole lot of bounce back yet, man. So I don't know. I know those teams were better, but I got a bad feeling about tonight. As far as I liked Jacob's text so much. Like, I think that's perfect. I think we should have a new head coach right now. I think we should have a new goalie right now. I thought Shea and Marchessault have been completely, utterly incompetent hockey players for it. They've just not been worth the billing, man. You remember somebody's commercial where they're naming those three guys, and it's a big. We're also excited about these three guys coming in. They were terrible, which means our GM was terrible. And I hate to say it because I feel like Barry's kind of lost his legacy there, but I love Jacob's call. Get away, get somebody outside to look in and go, okay, maybe we could find a way to convince Saros to go somewhere else because He's not it. And everybody here can't see that. If you can literally get in a fight with somebody talking about Saros, which is insane because everybody has a different opinion about him. But we should have a different head coach and goalie right now.
Thank you. I appreciate the call. Yeah, the loyalty thing is where a lot of the conversation on the text line is going. And I get it, right? Like, you've been an organization for approaching 30 years. You've had 4 head coaches and 2 general managers. Okay. And by the way, 4 head coaches, 2 general managers. And like I said, you've been past the second round of the playoffs one time in the history of your organization. That combination of things, Joe, does not happen in professional sports. Okay. So they are an outlier when it comes to that. I do think, building this franchise the way that it's been built, there are a lot of positives that come with that. I don't need the Predators to be exactly like the Vegas Golden Knights, but I probably do need them if I'm a fan looking at this and you're asking the question, how do you want to see Bill Haslam run this? The only thing that matters is winning. That's how I want to see him run it, right? And it doesn't mean you have to be a jerk to people, right? But the only thing that matters at the end of the day in professional sports is whether you win or whether you lose. That's what we're all here for. And not that the Predators haven't been trying to win, but I do think, I think Adam brought up a good point. Like, think about Vegas, and let's put Vegas in the Predator situation at the trade deadline this year. Do you think there's even a chance that they would have treated Ryan O'Reilly the way the Predators treated him in terms of a player who did not have trade protection, who they acted like they did? There's no way the Vegas Golden Knights would have done that.
No. And again, there's a part of that. I do, I appreciate it. I appreciate the humanity of the Nashville Predators historically, but ultimately you're right, man. You have to, if you're not going to be ruthless to some extent, you're not going to win at the highest level in pro sports.
And by the way, the loyalty thing, as somebody brings up, they did trade Shea Weber one time. Yeah, it's and by the way, they traded Shea Weber, which came out of nowhere. And they ended up going to the Stanley Cup final the next year. It worked out well for them.
Immediately followed by a Stanley Cup final and a President's Trophy.
That's not necessarily it's not directly correlated, but it is. I mean, Subban pretty darn good for the Predators here. So, I do think loyalty with players and loyalty with front office personnel and coaches are not the same thing. It's just there's more players to deal with. It's more complicated. Everybody was talking about being disloyal to Shea Weber. Well, Shea Weber did sign an offer sheet with another team. Now, I understand why he signed it, but he signed an offer sheet with another team. So sometimes it's just business and it's how sports go. But I think it's a fascinating conversation. There's a lot of people weighing in on this. We'll continue to take your thoughts. 615-737-1025. Our phone number. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. I got some tickets to give away to the Music City Rugby Showdown at Geodis Park on Sunday, April the 19th. The first ever Major League Rugby match in Tennessee. To caller number 4, 615-737-1025. Let's head back to our phone line. Welcome in Bob and Antioch to the program. Bob, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, guys. If the Predators go outside the organization to hire the new GM, would you prefer somebody who's been a GM before, or maybe somebody younger who might have been an assistant or, never been a GM before? I'm curious to find out what you think.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Joe, I've thought a lot about that question because there are, I think, plenty of options for both. Like, some of the names that have been thrown out there. We've talked about Brendan Shanahan, who's been involved with Toronto, obviously. Peter Chiarelli, who was involved with Boston. Mark Bergevin's name has been thrown out there, who, funny enough, we were talking about the Shea Weber trade. He was the general manager of Montreal when Shea Weber and PK Subban were traded for each other. So there are plenty of guys out there that have done the job before, and I don't hate that idea. But the more I've thought about it, Joe, the more I'm kind of intrigued by, like, whether it's somebody from maybe an organization like Florida. We've thrown Vegas out there. One of these assistant GMs or an up-and-coming name that you would identify throughout this search process. I'm kind of intrigued by that and maybe getting some new, fresh ideas in the mix. That's kind of the way that I'm leaning at this point. If you're asking me which way I think they're going to end up, my guess is it will be somebody who's done the job before.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. If you can get someone on the rise who has, obviously been involved and has a lot of experience, but just hasn't had that GM title yet, I think that's a great thing. If you want to, obviously there's really no comparison in the Preds organization. David Poile had built really good teams with the Washington Capitals when the Preds hired him away, and he built a team that the first year he was away got all the way to the Stanley Cup final, losing to the Red Wings, back-to-back right then. But so there's no comparison in this order, but it's like like a John Robinson type, right? Like in terms of what that did for the Titans when they found him, and there's lots of possibilities there. Why do you think that they will end up with someone who's been a GM before?
Well, I just think there are so many candidates out there that have done it before.
Yeah.
And guys that, Brendan Shanahan built a good roster in Toronto.
No
right?
doubt.
Like Mark Bergevin, it wasn't perfect for Mark Bergevin. He did get a Montreal Canadiens team to a Stanley Cup final. I know it was a weird COVID year, but, they got to the Stanley Cup final. Like, I think there are some good candidates out there that have demonstrated success. And ultimately, I just think that that's going to win out. Which, look, I guess if you're a Predators fan, that's not a bad thing. I think a lot of Predators fans are going to judge the general manager hire very simply, Joe. I think they're going to say, does this person have any ties whatsoever to the Predators organization? No? Okay, cool. Great hire.
Yeah. Well, and I totally agree. But also, I think if you do hire someone like a Shanny, who was on that Red Wings team, by the way, or Bergevin, very, very big part of it. So, then you also win the presser more easily right away, right? Yep. Like you're like look, as opposed to it's a little bit more of a risk / gamble if you're bringing in someone who hasn't had the title before. But again, I'd love the idea of can they get someone on the rise, younger, who you can, it can be your long-term answer. Also, the reality, I think, moving forward is that you're now going to be on probably a more traditional clock, I think. Yeah. I don't know this, but probably with Bill Haslam in terms of, okay, you have X amount, whatever it is, you got to demonstrate success here in relatively short order.
Well, a guy like Brett Peterson, who is in Florida, he's an assistant general manager, and he's not been a general manager before, but he got hired, I think, in November of 2020. Okay. So he joined the organization in November of 2020 in Florida. He is a guy that is going to get a lot of looks, whether it's the Predators or elsewhere. But like a guy like that, that's kind of where I would probably lean if it were me kind of making the decision. Now, again, I'm not going to be upset if they go hire like Brendan Shanahan or something like that, right? Like there's plenty of good candidates that are out there, but I think this is part of like, when you got one of these search committees that they hired the original search committee that didn't work out, but you've got Trotz, you've got Haslam, Saban's involved with it. Like being able to kind of weed some of these guys out and get to the bottom of not just what you've done before, but what you're playing now for the NHL in 2026, right? 2027 as it goes into a new era. Like we're in a new era in the league right now. It's a lot about speed and skill. The offense is way up. Like it's just a different game right now. So what's your plan to maximize that? Like that's got to be the bottom of what you get back to. And yeah, I'm not saying that prior experience doesn't matter because it does, but it can't just be about that when you're hiring this next GM.
Yeah. And I think you look at the success of an organization and like, sometimes you get lucky, you get that generational player, and maybe that makes everything look a little better
right
than it really is, as opposed to consistently, making good evaluations and things like that. I don't know why I keep wanting to bring it back to the Red Wings, but my goodness, were we excited when Stevie Y got the job after what he had done with the Lightning, right? And so has the game passed it by? Was there just a little bit of luck there that he hasn't had there? I don't know. I don't have a firm answer, but I think your point on like someone the forward thinking, where is the game going? We know where it is now. We all see that now. Like you said, where is it in 5 years, 10 years? What's your plan? Like, interviews are important. What are your strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah. I mean, bottom line,
I care
on this,
too much.
Again, like
I work too hard.
Bill Haslam, I think there's things to be excited about if you're a Predators fan that are different in some ways than they've had before. I mean, look, in the early days when Craig Leopold was the owner, the early part of it, there wasn't a salary cap. So you're trying to put together a team that's competing with the Red Wings that your payroll is just a fraction of, right? Like it wasn't going to happen. Like
God, the good old days.
They stepped up and they beat them every now and then. And, they gave them a couple good playoff series, but you're in a spot now with an owner. Number one, I think your finances as an organization, you're in good shape. You got an owner with pretty deep pockets, and Bill Haslam, like somebody on the text line was talking about how they think Haslam's going to be cheap. I'm like, well, they did just go spend like $100-some-odd million in free agency in one day a couple years ago. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think they're going to be able to spend. So, like from an ownership standpoint, I think there's investment level there at the moment that there's really never been before, right? Like when you factor in collectively kind of the whole thing that they're working with right now. So that's exciting. Like to sum it all up, how do I want Bill Haslam to run this team? I think we had somebody reach out on the text line and say, use every available resource. Obviously you want to do that, but a little bit more of the, hey, winning is the only thing that matters here. That's what I want to see. And that's a little, that maybe that's too general. Maybe that's not hyper-focused enough. But I think that's the general theme of what we're seeing on the text line right now. And the loyalty thing comes up all the time, and I get that. But a little bit more ruthlessness of, hey, the only thing that matters around here is winning. And whatever helps us do that, that's what we're pursuing. And we're not going to be afraid to move on from things that maybe don't help us do that in the long term.
Yeah, real fast on the cheapness thing. That's just, you pointed out an example, but I mean, I don't, in this league, if you're you're spending to the cap or close to it, and that's what it is, right? I mean, like I know long ago it was like a thing with the Preds, right? But that's not real, and that's not the concern. It's the choices you make. That's what it's about.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We will get into the Titans coming up next, plus some breaking news in the NFL that is about to put together maybe my favorite quarterback room of all time. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
I felt great. I think it was great to get back on the field, my guys. We had 9 eligibles coming out to the draft, which is a lot. We were able to get a lot of throws in there. And my thing is I wanted to best serve my teammates.
Yeah.
And so although we had a lot of guys, we got a lot more throws than a lot of quarterbacks in their pro days. But I wanted my guys to be able to showcase what they got in front of all 32 NFL teams and routes and timing and footwork that is really applicable to the league.
Right.
Not just some crazy, whatever.
I got
some stuff that it can actually get translated in the game. And nothing against that. Just
of course.
But just want to best showcase us and why we were so efficient this year and why we were so effective as well.
That's Fernando Mendoza, who's going to be the number 1 overall pick this year in the NFL draft, Joe. And I can't wait to watch every press availability that he does. It's going to be great. And now it's going to be even better because Kirk Cousins is signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. He has reached a deal with the Raiders. He's going to be, look, I guess they could start him before they wanted to start Mendoza at some point. I guess that could happen. But the quarterback room with the Raiders is going to have Fernando Mendoza and Kirk Cousins in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is objectively hilarious. I cannot wait to watch this, Joe. Your boy with the Raiders.
I'm thinking of the late night chess, maybe a little Battleship. Might they play a little Battleship?
I don't want to get too crazy.
A little. No, it really is amazing to think of that. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Right. Chutes and ladders. How about that? Yeah, wow. I'm a little, I gotta say, good for the Raiders. I think it's a good move for the Raiders. And yeah, you could come out. It'll be interesting because of course Raiders fans and of course Mark Davis, that goofball, they're all gonna want Mendoza to start right away, but it might be smart to let Kirk start the season and inevitably they're not going to be very good. And he's getting older. And so Mendoza will step in, but it's a little bit more of an old school approach. I don't think it's a bad idea. I also am a little disappointed. I wanted Cousins to, it's you know what, man, you've had a great run. You've been a good quarterback in this league. It's time for you to become the dominant NFL color analyst that you are meant to be. But I guess we just have to wait a little longer for that.
Only so long that you're able to play in the National Football League. Only so long. I can't wait. This is going to be my favorite quarterback room of all time. I have no idea if Mendoza is going to be any good in the NFL, but these two together in the same room this year, it's going to be awesome. They should just go. They shouldn't interview anyone else on the Raiders. Just go Mendoza and Cousins every day.
I've never seen a starting quarterback and a backup quarterback interviewed jointly. But this needs to happen.
I agree.
ESPN, somebody needs to go in their NFL Network and be like, I want to sit down with the two of you together and let's just nerd it out like no one's ever nerded out before. That would be absolutely tremendous.
And Kirk Cousins is the quarterback in Sin City. It's a hilarious thought to me. What's he gonna do? He ain't going out on the strip. I know that.
I know that I've told probably all my Kirk Cousins stories, but I have to tell this quick one again for people who don't know. His first day as a freshman at Michigan State, I was like, this is one of the most ridiculously amazing kids I've ever encountered. And he was so far from playing. And it was I don't know who this kid is, but my God, and then of course he ends up being this great player. But there was, long story short, there was a fight between football and hockey players, and will not name the reporter who totally screwed it up. I think someone gave him, someone was messing with this reporter and gave him bad information, and he went on television and said, I got good information that Kirk Cousins was the ringleader of this fight. And I'm serious, so dude, this story is incredible. So the next day, first of all, Mark D'Antonio called this guy and said, you are the worst reporter in the history of mankind, basically. And I called this guy to write it. I had to call this guy. And so the true story of all of it is that Cousins was in the Kellogg Center, which is where families stay. It was the night of a game. They had a home game that day. He was literally in that room with his parents watching a Disney movie. I'm not making that up. That was actually, I wish I remembered the Disney movie, but it's actually true.
Coach had nothing to do with it. I was watching Aladdin.
I mean, seriously, like the fact that, like, as soon as he said this, he was the ringleader. We were all like, "Oh my God, did he say just do that for real?" And the thing is, like, it wasn't funny. Like at the time, like it was a huge crisis for Kirk and his family. You know, I mean, it's like because of course people believed it. It's like, oh man, they got that scumbag Kirk Cousins on that team
throwing punches
out there, just beating the crap out of hockey players. Good God, we got to get this kid off campus. I mean, so in the days after that, it was like it was bad. And then of course, eventually it all comes out, and it's just like, oh my God, man, you can't, because Kirk Cousins, seriously, like there is nothing fake at all about like who he is. He is one of the best humans I've ever encountered. Like it's like, and you know, we have to be really careful in this business covering people and stuff. And you know, some people are good at faking it, and then there's nah, man, this dude, yeah, and people who saw the doc, right? Like you kind of get that from it. It's like, okay, this dude actually like is playing Legos and like listening to John Denver.
Adam in Portland says Kirk Cousins is the youth pastor. Mendoza's the know-it-all student who throws his hands up at every question. That could happen at that point. I can't wait to watch this in the in Vegas.
Like, is it possible that Mendoza might actually be so cheery and positive that he annoys Cousins? That'll be interesting.
Well, maybe.
Cousins is like, who's Ned Flanders over here? I can't deal with this crap.
Got to dial it back a little bit, boss. Floyd on the YouTube chat says, just get Jameis in there and cap it off. What a quarterback room that would be.
Oh, my gosh. That would be absolutely incredible. That would be the greatest. Like, that would be like they should have a variety show at a Vegas casino.
Yeah, I mean, I would do nothing but watch the Raiders all year.
Oh God. Well, good for the Raiders. It's a smart move for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Good for them for being able to pull off. I had my doubts that that he was actually going to go through with it.
It was like the Sean McVay earlier this week.
Who going to Bible study?
Sean McVay earlier this week was like publicly campaigning for Kirk Cousins to come join the Rams. Like he was, through the media, like, hey, Kirk, give me a call. Like, come back in there, be Stafford's backup. So, I mean, the options were there for him to go somewhere else and be on certainly a much better team than the Raiders are. I do wonder, like, if he looks at the Raiders part of it and says, maybe there is a chance for me to start for a little bit before Mendoza gets going in there.
Yeah, that's true. And then you're like, and if I do really well, of course he's still going to end up, probably, but maybe then the next thing. I mean, I get it. I mean, you're a competitor, and like you said, you only have a limited time, and then it's over. And meanwhile, yeah, it's like it totally makes sense. Good for the Raiders, and you understand the Rams' interest. Like he's a great backup option, right? Yeah. Like as far as helping a young QB, especially all that stuff, like he would be top choice for a lot of teams.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll take your thoughts on Kirk Cousins to the Raiders. Plus a question on the Titans front I've got for Rexrode. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. The Nashville Sounds taking on Charlotte today at First Horizon Park. First pitch at 6:35. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Let's head to our phone line. Welcome in Mark in Nashville to the program. Mark, good morning, buddy. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, what's up, Robby? Uncle Joe, how y'all doing, man?
Good, man.
Good, Mark. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing? Hey, I want to say this before I get started on saying what I'm going to say. Robby, Joe, I got the utmost respect for y'all, man.
Thank you.
Love y'all both immensely, man. So
But
always remember that, Joe, huh?
Is there a butt coming?
No, it's not a butt, Joe. Joe, no, it's not a butt coming. Joe, you know how I feel about you, Joe. Joe, you know I'm your bodyguard. I'm your protector. I'll never let anybody hurt Joe Rexrode.
Fashion advisor.
Everybody knows
Fashion
that.
advisor. Yes, yes.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But, hey, man, I hear y'all talking about my Raiders today. I appreciate that because we ought to be talking about the Raiders every day. Forget about the Titans right now. We need to talk about the Raiders. And you were saying Kirk Cousins, they signed Kirk Cousins. Yo, that's a heck of a mentor to have for Mendoza. I probably would start off letting Cousins play a couple of games before I brought Mendoza in there. I think Mendoza's gonna be great, Joe. I really do. You got Tom Brady, you got the GOAT up there that's gonna be in his head all the time. And I think Mendoza will end up being a great quarterback, an all-time great quarterback. I'm gonna put it out there like that. My Raiders, they're on the come up.
Mark,
Whoa.
are you okay?
What? Mark, are you all right?
Did we lose Mark?
I think Mark just spontaneously combusted. He was so excited about the Raiders.
Mark, we hope you're okay. I'm nervous.
Good for Mark. Hey, good for Mark and Raiders fans who have had a rough go here. Quite a rough go. The roughest go for Raiders fans of my lifetime, you know? Like they've always been, for me, most of my life, always been knocking on the door, good, intimidating, you know, like kind of cutting edge, and it's not gone well. So I hope he's right. It'd be great to see Fernando Mendoza be a great player.
It would. Joe, we can get more into this tomorrow, but my question for you today, overarching, if you're Cam, we had a lot of Cam Ward discussion yesterday. How do you feel about the Titans QB situation compared to the rest of the AFC South? Some turmoil right now with CJ Stroud and the Texans. You know, what exactly is he going to look like as he continues his career there? You know, you got Trevor Lawrence with a partnership through 1 year with Liam Cohen that has gone really well. And now the Colts have doubled down on Daniel Jones, coming off of the Achilles, coming off of the leg injury as well. So, Joe, we can get more into this tomorrow, but kind of briefly, how are we feeling about Cam Ward and the Titans QB situation when you look at the rest of the AFC South?
I put it third because I can't put him ahead of CJ Stroud, and there's been ups and downs, but CJ Stroud has demonstrated some very good things, and it's, you know, that's a very interesting story moving forward, but you can't put Cam Ward in his rookie year, which was, statistically very bad, above that, and I can't put him ahead of Trevor Lawrence either. Could Cam Ward be better? Sure, it's possible, but Trevor Lawrence is at a certain level, and actually I think last year, I think more of Trevor Lawrence after last year. So those two are ahead of him. I with the Daniel Jones thing and the injury and everything, that's just a big question. I don't want to sit here and say it was fool's gold what happened last year. I don't think that's fair. But I would take the possibility of Cam Ward right now over like Daniel Jones coming off an Achilles. So I would put it third.
Yeah, that one's interesting to me. Like the Stroud thing, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how that's going to end. Like, he's going to get another deal, I think. But like Stroud, compared to where he was after his first year, where people were, writing his Hall of Fame speech after the first year he had with the Texans. I mean, I think there's been a lot left to be desired since then. Right now, they've made the playoffs, but he was awful in the playoff game last year. And look, his second year, he's got a regression in the numbers, and it gets blamed on Slowick, right? Like Slowick takes the fall for it. He gets fired as offensive coordinator. Last year, Stroud dealt with injury. He only played in 14 games. But you're talking, 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 8 picks. He was okay. And then you get to the playoffs, and he just, it's just a bad performance. And it has people wondering, like, what exactly is he after a first year as a rookie that was just really, really good? So, look, I still think if he's healthy, he's a good player. Is he going to be what people thought he was after year one? I don't know. I don't know that he's ever going to get to that.
No, it's really interesting. Excuse me. And no, you're right. I don't know where it's going. I might even just because I think the floor is a little higher and a little more consistent, I might even put Trevor Lawrence first. But it's still like an unenthusiastic first, right?
Yeah.
It's still like, yeah, sure, I guess. So that's the thing. I'm keeping an open mind on Cam Ward. Totally open mind. It could all come together for him. There are some definitely good things, certainly some intangible things last year, and some arm talent things that are exciting. So is it possible that in a couple of years we're talking about him as the best quarterback in the AFC South? Yes, it is possible. It's also possible in a couple of years that we're talking about the next Titans quarterback. That's where it is right now.
Hendon Hooker?
Well, that's of course who it would be. Real quick, I have to just do this, Robby, because Jeff from Nebraska, apparently Chasing Big Joe, were talking about how I say ketchup shouldn't be on hot dogs. I hope they were agreeing with me. I have a feeling at least one of them wasn't. Jeff says, I've never been a bigger Joe Rexrode fan. Listen, man, ketchup, I love it, but you don't put it on a freaking hot dog unless you're 3 years old. Thank you.
You know, the other day I was thinking about that. I was out at the ballpark with all the birds chirping around me, and even though it was 7:35 in the morning, a hot dog was kind of sounding good. And I even thought to myself at the time, I might even put ketchup on it. Like, that's how good a hot dog sounds right now. I'd even be willing to do that.
And if you do, you need to put one of those little beanies with a propeller on it while you eat it.
Well,
that should be a law. That should be a law in this country.
No, it's not a bad take you've got. I mean, I don't necessarily it's not my first choice to put on a hot dog. I do think I've done it, though. Like, I've put ketchup on a hot dog.
No, I did too. I've also been a child who pooped my pants. I don't know why I always bring it to pooping pants, but that's basically when it's okay to put ketchup on a hot dog.
I can see the wheels turning in Ian's mind right now. That one's getting clipped. That'll be added to the mix.
We got pooping pants. We got hot dogs. We got Harry Carey. We got some stuff in the brain.
It's already going.
Oh my goodness. We're just constructing a wonderful mashup right now. All together, working together on it.
Already going out there. Well, it's a massive game tonight for the Predators against the LA Kings. Get you a nap in today. 9:30 puck drop tonight. We'll have you covered for it here on 102.5 The Game. We'll be back at 6 a.m. to discuss it all. But Preds and the Kings moved ahead of them last night in the standings in the playoff race. The Sharks actually technically moved ahead of them last night too, even though they're even in points. So this is a game the Predators need to have. We will be back to discuss it tomorrow. We got Charles Robinson on the program tomorrow at 7:30. Teron Davenport will be with us. So looking forward to talking to you guys then. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman is coming up next. We'll have you covered all day long here on 102.5 The Game. Until tomorrow morning, this has been Robby and Rexrode.